Hello everyone, Bashar here. We are together with another Fusion review video. So finally the Halloween Fusion warm-up is here, and the Fusion will start in a few days. We do not have the calendar yet, so you might recall that we had two avatars that we could earn in the last path event that we had, and one of them was this guy, Timit the Fool, and the other one is Kaja the Rye. She's his partner. Let's see what they do. So he is a Force Affinity HP champion from Bannerlords. Sadly, the rumors have not been true. The Halloween Fusion is not a mythical, as you can see. The mythical fusion is the permanent one, Lady Mikage. So he is from the Bannerlords HP. And let's take a look. So the first ability is attacks one enemy twice. Each hit heals the champion by 10% of their max HP. This is actually pretty serious. 10% heal is not bad at all. And if he doesn't have, if the target has no buffs, each hit also fills this champion turn meter by 10%, which means he will be healing by 20% and he will be gaining 20% turn meter back. And for an A1, 20% turn meter gain is rather serious, but of course this will be very risky in PvP. But in PvE this could work, right? I mean, they don't really have too many buffs. The second ability is a 4-turn cooldown. I'm talking about the booked version. 6 turns does get booked down to 4 turns. Attacks everyone. Decrease the duration of all enemy buffs by 3 turns. This is interesting. I mean, I don't understand why it doesn't say, removes of all enemy buffs, because considering, there are very few buffs that can go above 3 turns. Maybe with lasting gifts you can have a 3-turn buff that goes over 4 turns, because this generally will just serve the function of removing all buffs. But yeah, it is almost equivalent to removing all buffs. I think this does not get subjected to polymorph. That's the one advantage it has, because polymorph triggers with buff removing and debuff applying. Buff duration decrease I don't think falls in the sheep category, so maybe that's it as an advantage. So if there are no enemies with active buffs, grants an extra turn. Always grants an extra turn if Kaja the Rye on the same team, even if there are enemies with active buffs. So what is this explanation? Why do we have this explanation? Always grants an extra turn if Kaja the Rye is on the same team, period. And that's enough, right? This is a little bit redundant. Not that it's very important, but yeah, doesn't look very impressive, right? 4-turn cooldown is rather long. We have to see the multipliers, but he is not very impressive so far. Kegs of Dread, same thing. 6-turn cooldown, gets booked down to 4. Attacks all enemies. Puts up a 50% increased accuracy buff on all allies for 2 turns before attacking. And then he applies the true fear on everyone. So which means you will be applying your fear with true fear with 50% increased accuracy. So the order goes, you do A3, you fear them, and then with your increased accuracy you remove their buffs and then get the extra turn. Now this is not impressive at all. Let's take a look at the passive. Whenever the enemy activates abilities through fear or true fear debuffs, he gets 10% turn meter. So you put up the fear and they manage to use their skill, so this guy gets 10% turn meter. When they fail to activate it, provokes them. But this particular effect, particular? Why? What is this wording? Why do we have this particular here? This effect only applies. Anyway, this particular effect only applies when Kaja Durai are on the same team. So if we don't have Kaja, which will be the case most of the time, if they manage to use skills through our fears, we get 10% turn meter whenever they manage that. When they fail, the provoke requires the partner in the team. And the aura is very bad as well, 50 accuracy. So guys, you know, I always go for fusions, right? And the logic behind that I have, so this is one of the worst fusions I have ever seen, unless I am misunderstanding something. It could be that his multipliers are very good, maybe, but the cooldowns are long, right? The abilities aren't very impressive. I mean, you do this first and they have block debuff, so you will not be applying your true fears. Yeah. The passive leaves something to be desired. The aura is weak. I mean, all around, I would say pretty bad. But we did have Great Floriaka, right? We had Bambus. We had bad fusion. So the reason I advocate for in favor of bad fusions is, guys, so I always keep saying this, but a legendary is a legendary, right? I mean, we never know, it could get buffed maybe. I don't really think so, but there is that chance, right? It's a non-zero chance. Maybe it will get buffed. Maybe it will have some sort of special use, right? Maybe there will be moments that we want to apply fear. And he could be a faction guardian. So this did happen to me with Jetni, which was another horrible fusion. I did fuse Jetni, and just before I was able to summon her, I did get one from a shard, and now she is giving 10% HP to my barbarian legendaries. So there is also that case. So could get buffed, could be a faction guardian. And thing is, guys, if you play the game the way it's meant to be, a fusion takes some shards and some extra energy out of you, right? Because you will be doing the arena tournaments anyway, you will be doing the dungeon tournaments anyway. You might have to invest a little bit extra energy in the dungeon divers maybe, and if you do not impulsively upgrade your artifacts, the artifacts that you get from dungeon tournaments and sell will generally provide you with enough silver for the artifact enhancement events. As I said, so the only things that you have to take care of is the summon rush and the champion chase, and you know, champion chase, there are workarounds, and the dungeon divers, should they need a lot of points. And if it's a fragment event, you can also summon them whenever you want, which means you can use them during CVC for 30k points, or during champion chase for 500 points, 650 if it's a void champion. So these are in favor. Sadly, I cannot bring anything in favor of Timit the Fool. He is indeed a fool. I can't find any use for him at the time. As I said though, maybe his multipliers are very high and he is doing a ton of damage, so we cannot know that yet without testing him. Other than that, he seems quite a bad fusion, but personally I will be going for it. But you know, of course, I will be always going for it, right? That's the problem. So there is no fusion bad enough for me to not go for, right? But I think Great Floriaka, Timit, those two kind of fit the bill, right? I probably would have skipped those. But thing is, as I said, because I am doing all dungeon tournaments and arena tournaments, I just want to go for the extra legendary, right? And I think I would go even after my legendary faction guardians have been filled, because as I said, it could be useful somewhere. I mean, let's say I have my Bannerlord faction guardians full, right? And I get another Timit to full at some point, which means, and because this guy looks very bad, right, I am just going to appoint him as a faction guardian, and I could empower the other faction guardian, right? Maybe there is that use. So there is always a use for a legendary, but other than that, as I said, I think it's a bad legendary. And if you are not, doing the dungeon terms, I mean, if you are skipping some content, then he probably is not worth going for. And that's all I have to say about Timit the Fool, and I will see you guys on stream. Bye bye.